Let Lily lick Lionel's lusty leathers.
One more time. I didn't hear that.
Let Lily lick Lionel's lusty leathers.
His lusty leathers.
They're lusty.
Why would she lick
Lusty.
them?
Because they're dusty. They're dusty and lusty.
That's an even worse reason to lick leathers.
You gotta clean them off in a sexy way.
Nah,
No?
that sounds
All right.
gross. Gross as
To each
fuck.
their own.
Rob, do you love to lick leathers?
Usually.
Are you into leather, Bob?
It doesn't breathe. It doesn't breathe.
In the crotch area? What about pleather?
Also doesn't breathe. Problematic.
Yeah. You're like yelling at me.
What up, nerds? Welcome to a very strange episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and we're going to be talking about the hidden this evening. This episode is number 213, recorded on Thursday, May 2nd, 2019. Before we get into the review, let me introduce the one, the only man on the show joining me this evening, calling in all the way from Southern Korea, Soju. What's up, man?
What up? It's your boy, Soju. How's it going, buddy?
Chilling, just chilling. I was speaking with
Chilling.
Anthony and Danielle last night, and
Yeah.
Anthony could recite my intro that I do on every episode, like via memory, and I was like, shit, I gotta switch it up, man. I gotta choose different
Nah.
words, or I
Nah,
don't
it's
know.
cool. That's because he's trying out for your job. I'm surprised.
Oh shit! I just got fired as fuck.
He's on our back burner just in case things go south with Bob. We're always threatening to fire him, but it's always been empty threats because we really don't know how shit runs. But now that we got Anthony on deck,
Yeah, he makes podcasts. He knows what he's doing. I'm on
Yeah.
real thin ice over here at Straight Chilling.
I know, Bob. So better step it up.
Hey, if this is my last show, I'm going down with a ship, taking all you with me, taking all you mother truckers with me.
Nah.
So yeah, Randy Gandy can't make it this evening. He is currently driving cross country yet again, the mother trucker. But before I forget, talking about the hidden this evening, like I already mentioned, big shout out to Hydraberg. This is Hydraberg's Patreon pick. So thanks again, man, for supporting us and choosing a movie that I'd never fucking heard of. Didn't know anything about the hidden.
Hail Hydraberg.
Hail Hydraberg.
Of course. I don't know. I remember last time we opened up our movie pick, and I feel pretty confident that Hyderberg was the first one to snag one.
Yeah, I think so. They shockingly all went very, very quickly. I think two of them went before we even announced that it was already open.
Yeah.
And then like within the next few hours, the rest were taken. Very quick. Much love to all y'all. Thanks.
Yeah. You know why? Because Hyderberg's fucking hard with us, bro. He's he ain't fucking around. He ain't no fucking poser.
Are you hard with us? Are you a real straight chilling crew?
That's our pitch. It makes me think of like Muscle Milk. Fight with the crow.
Crow's milk. Good lord. Riot punch.
Gotta throw in the Weekly Sunny reference,
Yeah, that's right. Keep it consistent. Before we get on with the show, let's hit up some housekeeping real quick. So the May poll pick has ended, and the theme for May was Maniacal Mothers, and the winner was Inside.
Okay.
The French extreme movie, not the American remake, which apparently exists. I just found that out.
People heard my calls.
Yeah, it won by one vote, man. It was pretty close between that.
Somebody
and
came through for you, boy.
Shaboy.
Soju. Thank you, whoever that one vote was.
So we're gonna be talking about that here in the next few weeks. And,
also broke your streak, Rob. Rob was what'd you pick, Carrie? Rob's taking like the past 3, even with his nonsense reviews of Hellboy and shit. Y'all just keep giving Rob a platform over here. I don't know what y'all think you're.
We usually don't admit right up front who chose what movie. So it's just,
It's true. It's true.
Unbiased. But the June poll pick is up on our Patreon website currently. So if you support us at the $5 level or above, you can vote between one of these movies that we're going to be talking about this June. So the theme for June is Korean imports.
Yes. If you're watching the YouTube video, you probably saw my face in which I was like, wait a second, what is the June pick? Because I can't even remember submitting a movie, and now I remember. We talking Korea. I'm gonna shed all my infinite knowledge, pretty much Korean now at this point,
You are. I can tell.
What? Can you see?
Yeah, your skin is darker.
The YouTube.
For sure.
Nah, I'm pale as shit.
The movies we got up there are A Tale of Two Sisters, The Wailing, and Thirst. So make sure to cast your vote before the end of May, and we'll be talking about one of those in June. So far, The Wailing is winning handily.
Okay.
So
I guess we need to keep it reserved, so I won't make any comments. But
good. Do you have any YouTube or Twitch news there, Juicy?
Dude, we finished up Inside. It was a short session, I guess, because of when we're recording. There was I guess, I was recording on Mondays, and so there was like one extra Monday, I guess, in April, since I'm sticking with it, which was good because I hadn't quite finished the game. The week before, I like hitting a little past the hour mark. I tried to go around an hour, and I was like, well, I think we're getting close to the end, but I went to like an hour 10. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna cut it so we have some for next Monday. Yeah. And it ended up being like pretty, I don't know, maybe an extra 15 minutes after that. So then I wanted to talk about the ending. There were like, I don't know, several people on, and participating in the chat. So I went ahead and just kind of started playing through another like 20 minutes of the beginning again, because it just cycles again through. Let me tell you, man, Inside, that shit got wild.
Yeah.
Like real wild. The last like 20 minutes to me was like really blowing my mind, and by the end of it, I like I said, I had to talk through it. Heidelberg was on there were several people on there, and we were like talking it through, and I was just like, is this the end? Is this how it fucking ended? What is going on? So I had to talk through it. So if you're curious, I haven't uploaded the ending yet onto YouTube, but it is available on our Twitch. So if you want to see me freak out about what the fuck Inside made me do for like the last 20 minutes of that game, actually probably maybe close to 30 minutes, it was like, it was really bothering me. But you know how I get sometimes, like things like really get under my skin. You've got that like whole circle thing that you've got. Sometimes things just like really bother me, like those like robot dog things or whatever, those like robot animals that have no faces and no heads that like crawl up the mountain and they make that sound and they're like those things like really bother me. It bothers me on like that level, like this is really disturbing, and like my imagination is like flying away with me, and I could like see where in some terrible dystopian world this would be real, and it would be really fucking terrible. So
fucking Skynet.
Yeah, so that was Inside. It was a pretty cool game overall. It had a cool art design. And the thing is like up until that point, it was like pretty straightforward. I mean, there were some interesting things into it, some weird, creepy kind of things. It's, kind of macabre, like kind of dark and like weird, but not like super scary. And then it got to like those last 30 minutes and I was like, what the fuck? It was just disturbing, fucking disturbing. So that was Inside. So that was our game of April. I also realized I have been really slacking on the video game reviews. I've been playing these games. I'm supposed to review them, but I was like out of the country for a while and stuff like that. So this next month I'm gonna like play catch up, and then we should be good to go from here on out. But yeah, next month, May, I told everybody I would announce the game. Man, it's hard. It's hard getting in because now like there's so many. I feel like there's so many good games I want to play. I literally went through like the Xbox store and I started marking things. I was like, wish list, wish list, wish list.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's only 12 months in the year, and like I have to pace this out. And there's certain games I want to do. And now, like, I feel like a lot of the ones I've done, like, people are like, oh, that's such a good game. That's such a good game. That's such a good game. So I feel like they're like people that are familiar with them that have already played them. So I was like, let me maybe try to pick something maybe a little more obscure that maybe people haven't picked up that I didn't really know. I had to like do some research. So I picked a game that looks really interesting. I tried to do BioShock last month. But it wouldn't let me, so I kind of jonesing for that kind of aesthetic, the old school kind of look, and I want to make sure I get the name right. So I picked a game that I had actually never heard of. It's called Bindi and the Ink Machine.
All
Bindi and the
right.
Ink Machine. And it's got this old school aesthetic. That's what it's kind of making me think of BioShock. But the whole premise is like you're in this old school like cartoon factory, essentially. So it's like think like old school like Mickey Mouse shit, like black and white. I think it's set in like 1929 or some shit. But
Cool.
it looks like it's got some really cool aesthetic, some really interesting like storylines. So I thought maybe something a little more obscure would be fun for this month. I've highlighted some more classics for the rest of the year. Some people have been hitting me up about some different games, so I have a list. I would like to cover many things. So this month we're gonna do a game called Bindi and the Ink Machine. So I'm excited about that. So
That
yeah.
sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. Video games like offer such a unique, cool, different aesthetic to horror that you don't, like the idea of this, like, I don't know, like even BioShock, they're like, oh, we're gonna make a movie. I was like, the game is so good in itself.
Yeah.
There's something video games can capture that you can't really capture in cinema with budgets and stuff like that, and even with the protagonists and stuff. So I've been enjoying playing through these games. It gives a cool kind of unique perspective on the horror genre. So check us out on Twitch if you want, twitch.tv/Straight Chilling Podcast. And then of course I always try to upload the videos onto YouTube as well for the gameplay and the walkthroughs if you're interested in that. Also, all the posters were sent off. So if you won our poster giveaway last time, your posters are currently in the mail. God knows where they are, but somewhere they're on the way to you, hopefully. And it looks like I'll try to make a preemptive like announcement. It looks like Brightburn might be the next one that we do because I've already got posters. So at some point it's coming out in Korea, and I think we plan on covering it. So Brightburn should be our next poster giveaway. If you're interested in that too, hit us up on our YouTube. Keep an eye out for Brightburn, Superman horror movie. The
Yeah.
posters.
Stay
Oh,
tuned.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that movie. It looks pretty sweet.
It's the kid with his mask, and I was reading about like James Gunn making the
Nice.
mask and stuff like that, but we'll save it for the cast.
All right. So yeah, just another reminder, we're doing the Joe Bob live watch party still. We're doing one this Friday. It starts at 9 o'clock. We're going to post a link to join our watch party on our Facebook page and on Twitter just before showtime. So make sure you hop on that, watch along with us. It's been fun, man. I've been loving it. I think after Joe Bob's little run here, his little 9-week run, somebody's gonna have to talk me off the ledge, man. I don't know.
Oh,
What am I gonna
Bob.
do? What am I gonna do with my Fridays? I don't know.
Maybe go to the local orgy party. I don't know.
The local orgy, the
The local
neighborhood
one.
orgy. Yeah. No, you're right. I haven't been to one of those since Joe Bob started. And
Yeah.
I need to
Really thrown
get
off
in
the
there.
groove. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get in there. All that. I need to get my shunting back. Get right.
Yeah, get it.
Get right in there.
Your shunting practice in.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Stella got her shunt back. Also, there is a local filmmaker by the name of Royce Freeman. He made a movie. It's another genre picture, which this is like the third genre picture in like less than a year that's been like completely created locally here in Jacksonville, Florida. And it's getting, they're doing a red carpet event here at Sunray Cinema on May 7th at 7 o'clock. And they're going to have a Q&A following the showing. So definitely turn out, support Royce and his whole crew. Check out his movie In Utero. And definitely show some love to some local filmmakers and, of course, Sunray Cinema, because they are dope.
Cool. Good old locals killing it in Saxonville.
Cool.
Are we going to talk NFL draft now, Bob? Jaguars grading?
I almost started getting into it. I was like, no, I won't do it.
This isn't the Jags cast.
It's not.
Not yet.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it for our housekeeping. Let's go ahead and get into what we've been watching this week. What up, Deuce? What you been watching, man?
Oh, the big ones. You got to knock out the big ones. Of course, the GOT, the GAT. Cover that. It's good. I'm curious. I don't know. I hope like I feel satisfied by the end of the show. It's one of those things. 8 years and plus like a year in between like a season. So really, I guess 9 years.
Yeah.
It's a long fucking time. That's like a really long fucking time. I can't believe it's been that long, but
almost as long as this damn Marvel run.
Yeah, I guess so. So I'm a little worried about it ending. Like, there's just 3 episodes left, and I'm like, I hope I'm feeling good by the end of this. We've been through, we lived through the Lost, moment.
Yeah.
So we've been there. So I enjoyed it, but I'm like, it's a little sad to see it in. I'm also like a little like, I hope everything. I don't know. I hope I'm digging it. But so of course the GOT. Can't drop them spoilers. You never know.
Yeah.
Of course, the end game, another like 11-year run of something finally kind of coming to an end. And I feel good. Like, I feel good about like, I'll watch Spider-Man coming up. But by the end of Endgame, like I was like, I feel good about like not following everything anymore. Like,
yeah,
I feel okay now. Like, and I generally just like to go to the movies, so maybe I'll just like pop in anyways. And like I said, I like the Spider-Man character and what they've done with it, so I'll check that out this summer. But I don't feel like inclined to be like, let me go watch like the third Ant-Man, like, or so like I feel okay if I don't see it, whereas like
okay.
Watching this movie though, I really appreciated. I was like, I've watched every Marvel movie in theaters for the past goddamn 11 years, but like everything like kind of culminated. They like, it kind of blows my mind that they like kind of brought it all in. It's kind of nuts. They like, those damn dudes between these 2 movies, like Infinity War and Endgame, like they did it like a damn good job, man. And the thing is, the movies are like pretty different between themselves. Like years from now, like the series ending, like if you're like, I'm gonna watch the Endgame show or whatever, those 2 movies, like they're pretty different. So but both good in their own ways. So I was pleased. I was happy with what I got. So that was nice to get that. Being worried about GOT not blowing its load.
Yeah, you got one. You're covered at least on one. So the other one
exactly
remains to be seen.
And people keep throwing like Star Wars in there too for like the end of this year, and I'm like,
Yeah, that.
I mean, sure, but
Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. So, so really, that's all I got. And I haven't finished it yet, but I started watching the Purge. I think Netflix has like all the Purges on right now, and I forgot that they dropped one like a year or 2 ago with the first Purge or whatever. I completely forgot, and that one showed up. So I was like, well, let me watch these. So I've started watching the Purge. I haven't finished it, and let me go ahead and say, and this isn't like an account like of what I'll think of the movie overall yet or anything, but Ethan Hawke is in that, and then fucking Cersei Lannister, we're fucking watching God right now.
Yeah,
and so far, it's like really just shows how much directing can affect things, how much a director, because right now, like it still feels like kind of a cheap horror movie, even with these like big baller ass actors in it and actresses, and you're like, well, damn, like, if you can't fucking kill it with like, if you're not blowing my mind with a really solid premise of like, I think like The Purge is like a really, really interesting premise, and fucking Cersei and fucking Ethan Hawke, if you're not just like blowing my mind like 100% of this movie, then like you're not doing like a real great job. That's my opinion so far.
So, have you not seen that or The Purge Anarchy, the second one?
I haven't. The first one I saw was that fucking one we covered on the cat. That's actually the only
Election
one I've
Year.
seen. Yeah,
And
yeah,
number 3, Election Year, and then the first
yeah,
Purge is the fourth one. Yeah, I've
yeah.
seen the first 3. I still haven't seen the first Purge. Um, I think Anarchy is my favorite of the 3
Yeah.
that I've seen. None of them are particularly great.
Yeah.
And then there's that damn TV show now, that Purge TV show, which I haven't seen.
I didn't even know that was the thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It has like one season. I don't know if it's going to continue or if it got canceled or what happened, but there's, I think, one season aired last year.
Yeah. All right. Well, so it sucks because I think it's really interesting premise. However, it would never actually work. I feel like if somebody has like murderous inclinations and they actually murdered somebody, I feel like it would be like a drug, you know? I feel like people, everybody's got their thing, and they like kind of like wrestle with it and do it. And then it seems like once you get a taste, like you always want more or whatever. That's just the addictive personality of human beings. So it wouldn't be like, all right, you got to murder somebody for 1 year and now there's never any violence. It's like, nah, that dude
Problem
would be
solved.
like, that would be like the edge. That person would be like, I gotta like hurt somebody or something. But it's still really interesting premise.
Yeah. Anything else, man?
I think that's about it. Yeah, for this week. What about you, Bob? What you been watching? You never get out.
What I've been watching? I watched some. This might come as a surprise, but I got some Vinegar Syndrome stuff that I've been blasting through.
Okay, Bob. Yeah. What do you? Let me hear about that.
All right, let me tell you about it.
You've been riding that Vinegar Syndrome hard, guy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I get stuck on a particular label, and I don't know. It's Vinegar Syndrome's time. I don't know what it is. But...
All right.
So I watched a movie called Grandmother's House. It's a 1980s horror movie. It's got if you've seen The Visit, that M. Night Shyamalan movie, it reminded me a lot of The Visit, but it's a little more like fucked up, I guess. It's a little more extreme than I think what M. Night would lean into. But it's got Bring Stevens in it, and she plays kind of this crazy mother figure. And the mother figure dies. These 2 kids, they go stay with their grandparents, and their grandparents are acting very bizarre, and they think that their grandparents might be like murdering people. Which is, like I said, very similar to The Visit.
That sounds like, Shyamalan.
Yeah, but it's, I enjoyed it quite a bit, man. It's,
okay.
It's goofy. It's got some decent kills, and like the grandparents are actually adequately creepy, and the kids aren't bad actors. It's like, I feel like it's a little better than it has the right to be. But I definitely, if you like The Visit, I would definitely recommend checking it out. Faux show. I also watched a movie called The Suckling.
Okay. If they're not Yabos in a movie called The Suckling, somebody fucked up.
So, man, I honestly don't even remember if they're Yabos. If there were, it wasn't like.
Somebody fucked up.
Yeah, so this movie. The premise of this movie is incredibly fucked up. But it's very much like a horror comedy movie. So basically, there's this like younger couple. And they get pregnant, and the girl, she wants to keep the baby, but the guy doesn't. She kind of gets sort of drugged and forced to have an abortion, which is pretty heinous. And then they throw the baby down the toilet, and it goes into the gutter and gets covered in this like toxic waste and turns into this crazy fucking monster that just like murders everybody in a whorehouse.
Oh Lord! In a whorehouse.
That all sounds very heavy, but it's played very light, like tongue in cheek as that can be, anyways.
Sometimes I worry about your psyche, Bob.
Yeah, that's fair. That's understandable.
I've been gone too long, Bob. Somebody's got to pull you out of the mud.
You see what happens when you leave me? See what happens? The creature is played by Mike Gingold, who's like one of the OG writers for Fangoria, and this was like one of the first things he worked on, which I thought was kind of a pretty neat a little bit of trivia about it. And if you are curious about this movie, it's streaming on Amazon Prime for free, so you can put your eyeballs on it pretty easily. And the last
but
thing
you bought it from Vinegar Syndrome.
I did buy it from Vinegar.
It could have a movie about an aborted fetus being flushed down the toilet and killing an entire horror house could have been viewed for free on Amazon Prime. But Bob got the 4K Blu-ray Steelbox from Vinegar Syndrome.
I appreciate what these companies do, and I want to support them. So I choose to do so. Not everybody does, and that's fine. The last thing I want to mention is this show on Netflix I just started watching. It's called Street Food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's relatively new, but it's like it's similar to that of an Anthony Bourdain show, which I fucking love Anthony Bourdain, and just kind of travel type shows in general. So this obviously focuses on like street food vendors, and the first episode is like in Bangkok, and the second one is I think it's in Osaka, and it just kind of focuses on these people who. They seemingly, at least the first two episodes, they kind of come from nothing and pull themselves up by their bootstraps and make these little like crazy successful food carts. And the guy who's in Japan, he cooks his food with like a fucking flamethrower, like a torch, and he keeps like a bucket of ice water next to his grill, and he just rests his hand in it so that whenever it's time to like flip the meat. He just sticks his hand under the flame and flips it, so like his hand is cold and doesn't get burnt.
Oh my god!
He like refuses to use tongs because it'll rip the meat, and he won't have it. It's just like crazy stuff like that. I find that super interesting, and like their dedication to making this food. I don't know, something about that. I really love watching it, and I've been enjoying that so far. So
dude, whenever you goddamn visit me in Seoul, dude, working at street food out here. Is dang, legit. Dude. It is baller. Woo. Dude, and there's like so many different places you can go. And any event has it out, and it's not like that bullshit where you go to like some fucking like baseball game and everything's like $20. Hell nah, dude. That's like they keep the street food prices. Oh man, street food's dope. If anybody's in Seoul, you better hit up your boy.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, he's in the phone book under Staines, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Mr. Cruise Staines.
Yeah, boy. So, yeah, okay, that's it for what I've been watching. Let's go ahead and get into the main event. We're talking about The Hidden tonight. Start off with the back of the box. All right, The Hidden from 1987. Which is listed on IMDb as an action.
The year of our Lord, Staines.
Check this out. Oh God! So this movie is listed on IMDb as an action crime horror movie. They actually put horror in this movie, but did not include it on American Psycho.
Wow, because this is thin. I mean, I guess we'll talk about it, but to include horror,
It's shocking because they almost never do. And if you were to include it, I don't know that this would be the first movie I would choose to include it on. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the plot synopsis is as follows. Law-abiding people suddenly become violent criminals. A cop and an FBI agent race for answers in this sci-fi thriller. Directed by Jack Shoulder, starring Kyle MacLachlan, Michael Nouri, Claudia Christian, and some other fun people that make some cameos throughout the runtime of the movie. So, again, this was chosen by Hyderberg, the one, the only Hyderberg. Hail Hyderberg. Never seen it before. Really didn't know anything about it. What about you, Juice? What did you have in your brain going into this, and would you recommend people check it out?
Nothing, and I wanted to keep it that way. Once we get these Patreon picks, and I don't know anything about them, I literally just go in blind, and I like it. It's nice, it's nice feeling that way. Not even seeing a trailer or anything. So. I watched it for the first time, and if you like 80s it feels like an 80s cop action drama, but it does but it's got this sci-fi thing thrown in that we'll talk about. But if you like that style, it's that style, and it's pretty funny. And it's the acting's good in it. Not to get too far into the review or anything. So, I mean, if you like that style, if you like that type of movie, then I would definitely recommend you check it out.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. I purposefully didn't watch a trailer for this. I just kind of wanted to let it hit me, and I'm glad I did. And I recommend the hell out of it. Yeah, just be aware that it's not a straight up horror movie, and you're gonna get some action, sci-fi, '80s goodness. And if you're down with that, definitely put this shit on your eyeballs. To borrow a phrase from Jim G Baby Gwinza from our Slack channel, this movie fucking dumps.
Whoa, it dumps. It's
It dumps.
a straight quote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim baby, you got that poster coming to you, baby. I like wrote it on there. I was like writing it up.
You got a poster coming to you, baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, watch this shit for sure. I dig it. I'm gonna go and drop the spoiler warning, and we'll get into the rest of the review. The Hidden. So this movie, like the first scene of this movie kind of like really puts you in a perfect mindset for what you're about to get yourself into.
It really does.
You're following this guy who like robs a bank. He's like driving down the street in this like crazy sports car. The cops are chasing him. He's like blowing people away. Just it seems like he's coked out of his mind. Doesn't give a shit. He's just.
I think the first thing that happens while he goes in, like just to the bank, blows bitches away, grabs some money, gets in his sports car, but throws in the fucking cassette tape. To 11, dude, fucking rocking out. That opening scene, like the first 10 minutes of this, like had me like really like pleased. I was just like, I am really digging this so far. Like I just, especially going into a movie having no expectation or whatever, and just seeing like the first 10 to 15 minutes, it just was like off the rails, you know, straight away, fucking wild. Blasting bitches away. It was pretty funny. Like it was like a fun ride to, you know, kind of kick us off.
Yeah, it's got like it's when it first starts. Like one of the first things that like popped into my head was like, this is one of the moviest fucking movies I've ever seen. They even do that gag that I can't remember the last time I saw it, but like they've got these two workers carrying this huge pane of glass across the street, and the car flies right through it.
Right through it.
I don't know where that started, but for some reason, I kind of love that shit. It's just like such like a fucking movie trope. It's like the trope.
It started off with like the bank robbery and like the crazy car chasing, like with the rock music, like, and it was all just like it was all like giving you a spectacle that you would want and expect, I guess.
Yeah, and it does. So like the guys run from the cops. The cops finally like roadblock him. It gets in a wreck. He gets out of the car, and they just sort of like open fire and kill him. And they shoot his vehicle. And just like in fucking American Psycho, where he shoots the cop car, the car just explodes, but nobody makes a weird face. You know?
Classic. Like even with the car exploding, like from beginning to end, this whole opening scene is such a cliche, but taken like to 11. Yeah. Like it reminded me of that, but it also reminded me of like. You know, that sounds like maybe it's not so good, but it reminded me of what's that movie where the dude hooks like the battery up to his heart and it just like goes full blasting. Yeah, Crank. It reminded me of Crank because I remember when we first went into Crank, we were like, oh, this is going to be dumb or whatever. But when you lean into it, like when you know that that's what you want to do and you just make it that, like when you go full into the trope and you go full into the genre, like that's it, then it like can be really good. And that's what it kind of reminded me of, like Crank, like where they just go like full into it and it's like fucking nuts spectacle and like kind of funny because you know that they know, like everybody knows. It's not like they're trying to fool you or anything.
No shame. Yeah. That shit's fun, man. So that's kind of the introduction to the movie. So you're like, okay, I'm along for this fucking ride now.
Yeah.
And you're introduced to Lloyd Gallagher, who's like an FBI agent. He's played by Kyle MacLachlan. He's sort of like the protagonist, the guy you follow the rest of the movie. And him and this detective, this like reluctant ass detective, Thomas Beck, they're like teamed up and they're supposed to go find this guy who went on this crazy rampage. And you come to sort of find out that this alien entity has been like jumping from body to body, and Beck is aware of it, and he's been sort of following this entity, and obviously doesn't want to. Or I'm sorry, Gallagher, the FBI agent, has been following this entity and like doesn't share the information with Beck right up front because it's a fucking alien. So you're along for this like crazy ass ride. And as the movie goes along, the alien jumps from body to body, and he sort of like continues to do this crazy ass shit. Like he has this inexplicable like penchant for Ferraris.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think they're like all red too. Like everything he does like is red, I think.
yeah, and he's like he's trying to like cruise on chicks, and he goes into that I think one of my favorite scenes in this. He goes into the record shop and he just like kills the clerk, and he steals a ghetto blaster.
Yeah.
He carries it into a diner, and he's just like calmly eating his meal, and he's got the ghetto blaster on his table just like cranking out these jams, and everybody's obviously annoyed with him, and he just doesn't give a shit.
That's also when he's just like farting his ass off. Cause I guess he like steals a body, but it's like a guy in the hospital, obviously, and so he's like all fucked up, but like it carries over, like he doesn't make. So it shows that like he's just kind of like chilling in a body until it. I think even at one point they say like until it's like not usable anymore. So it's not like he makes it, but I kind of goes back and forth because it also seems like he makes them super strong, like he is super strong. And then people like shoot up bodies, and like they have to shoot them like 20 times before they actually go down. But I honestly was surprised when they show, because right after we get that crazy opening scene, the dude's chilling in the hospital, and like we like see the body switch.
Yeah.
Like they don't shy away from it or anything. And that was pretty cool. I thought they did it well. Like I was like, holy shit.
It's like this giant slug looking thing.
Yeah. And it comes out of the dude's mouth, and then it goes into the other one, and they like show it's not like a pan away and like it's implied, he like took over the body. Like they show it all, and it actually looks pretty solid for what it is.
Yeah, it reminded me a bit of the Tingler, the creature from the Tingler.
Kind of, yeah.
This movie's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets the Tingler. That's like what it reminds me of.
Animorphs. You remember that shit?
I do remember that shit. How could I forget?
Throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like looking at my notes here. I wanted to see if there was anything that was like another thing, like it kind of reminded me of the way that he operates too. At least I noticed it more specifically in the second body, but I thought each actor and actress that did it pretty well, because there's a way that like people kind of look or move when the monster's in them, and they are able to keep a pretty like consistent kind of look even between like several different actors and actresses, like and what it kind of reminded me of is fucking Men in Black, the skinner's hanging off your bones. Yeah. Like that kind of look at like when Kay says like he's rolling around in a brand new Edgar suit. Like that's what it kind of reminded me of, because it looks like a little awkward, or like he doesn't quite have complete control, or he's like a little awkward in each one of the bodies. And that's kind of cool that they were able to keep that like pretty consistent. But it kept reminding me of these things that I realized like it predated, but that like it may be inspired or something. I don't know, because it like really made me think of Men in Black.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's a really solid point, actually. The way he's just like going through the streets, doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. I love that they kind of like the alien talks a little bit. He doesn't talk a whole heck of a lot, but like they kind of start to build this personality of like this creature.
Yeah.
And it's like a complete 100% fucking Cooter, right?
Like, well, we'll get to it, but yeah. But no, yeah, it is. And I can't help but think that Hydraberg did this shit on purpose. Because, dude, also Hydraberg picked he picked The Entity. Wait,
Uh-huh.
is that the name of the movie?
Yeah,
It was our
yeah.
first like paranormal Cooter, and now
Yeah.
we're talking our first like
Alien
extraterrestrial
Cooter.
Cooter. I think Heidelberg. I think he's got an agenda here, which is I'm completely on board with. You know, we got to get our
Yeah.
hunt. We got to get our hunting on, but no, yeah, he's like, because even with the second body, he's like you said, he's trying to pick up chicks to the point where he just is like,
Yeah.
fuck it, and like goes to the strip club and or whatever, and
Yeah. He
and then that gets
becomes a
fun.
woman himself.
Yeah, then he takes over a woman's body, and then that gets nuts because then he's just like fucking people and like feeling himself up and shit like
Yeah.
that. And then, oh, and also like the outfit. The reason I said the red is because then he throws on that crazy stripper outfit where the ass is hanging out
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
right.
That
Yeah.
shit is, and it's all like red pleather or whatever. That shit doesn't breathe, Bob.
No, it
Um,
doesn't. Especially in Florida. Don't wear pleather in Florida.
Ooh, but yeah. Another thing it reminded me of, I didn't know Randy was gonna be missing either. Me and Bob totally like missed the mark on
Yeah.
Hyderberg somehow knew what we didn't know. Um, that Randy, you know, is moving across. But one thing it reminded me of too is there's this episode of Futurama where they do like a what if scenario. They're able to like look into this machine and it's almost like an alternate reality or whatever. And there's one where the professor is able to turn Bender into a human. So Bender's a robot, but they make him a human. And so he's able to like taste things for the first time and he's able to like have sex for the first time. And so he just like goes ridiculously like buck wild. And that's like, and he does essentially like whatever the fuck he wants. And that's what it kind of reminded me of. Like this alien like getting a hold of a human body and be like, fuck yeah, nobody can stop me. Like there's
Yeah.
there's nothing. So he just kills people, he just fucks people, he goes to the diner and like eat, like that's what he does. He just like does everything that anybody wants to do with no regard because he just jumps to another body. He fucking wants a badass sports car, he wants like some badass tunes, he wants like some badass food and like some badass bitches. Like he just fucking rolls through all of like the top like whatever you want shit. And it's pretty fun. Like it's a pretty funny spectacle.
It is, yeah. There's a certain point in the movie where you come to find out that the FBI agent Gallagher, he's an alien as well, and the reason the primary reason he's hunting this crazy murderous alien is that the alien killed his quote partner and then also like his wife and child. So he's just basically out for revenge. And they have this moment where they finally meet up, and the bad alien's like, you know, we could take over this place if we really wanted to. And then they just sort of, he pieces out, and then there's a senator coming to town who's like giving a speech, and he just like, his goal from that point on is to take over the senator's body and eventually like, you know, become president. And I kind of like how it's almost like the alien has just been like playing with its food up until this point, like just
Yeah,
enjoying
until
itself.
it realizes.
And yeah, it's like, you know, how many Ferraris are you gonna steal? How many people are you gonna kill? How many banks are you gonna rob? Like you can only do it so many times. He's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm taking over this joint. This whole fucking planet is gonna be mine. I'm starting with the president of the United States. Let's go. Like he just starts going towards that direction, and I kind of like how this super like slapsticky movie almost takes a bit of a turn and gets a little more serious, because right before he jumps into the senator's body, he makes like 3 or 4 more jumps, and he's just like leaving this crazy trail of murdered people behind him like as he goes. He's jumping from like detective to detective.
Oh yeah, he jumps in like the sergeant's, but because he takes over the dog, so he has like the first dude. He switches in the hospital.
Can we talk about that dog for just 1 second?
Yeah.
Because I fucking love the sergeant's like in his kitchen. He's opening the refrigerator, like getting a snack or whatever, and the dog like fucking bullets through the pane glass of the door and straight into the sergeant and knocks him into the refrigerator, and then the sergeant just dies. He's just dead.
It made me think of when fucking Jason just like throws that dog out the window or whatever. But and like what?
That's exactly right, man. He goes full Jason fucking Voorhees.
Yeah, the dog just like flies through the fucking door, dude. Like no fucking problem. And that
That's fucking great, man. When that happened, I had to
I
rewind it and watch
forgot
it
about
again.
that, but it was funny. It cracked me up. That shit was nuts. Yeah, so that's like the third, because okay, he does the two dudes. So the guy at the beginning, and then switched at the hospital, and then that dude goes to the strip club. He takes over the stripper. The stripper has a shootout. She takes over the dog's body.
Yeah,
Dog
and
takes over the
the
sergeant's
detective.
body.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and he like blasts away like a fucking whole squad of like they have a big shootout in the police station,
yeah.
and then
And
that
then there's
dude takes
another
over. Does he take
Detective
over someone else?
Willis. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he takes over another detective. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then it's the senator
And
finally.
then yeah, that dude goes to kill or to take over the senator, and then he takes over the senator, and then that
Yeah.
dude gets blasted with a flamethrower. That shit was nuts. The way they even introduce that is nuts. Somewhere just like through the middle of the movie, some random cop just strolls through the room. It's like, look what I picked up off of this random dude on the street. Like some dude just strolling around with this fucking flamethrower on the goddamn street, and
Yeah.
they're all laughing about it. Ha, 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 ha. That's so crazy.
That's
And
never
then
gonna come back in this movie. We'll never see
and
that
then
again.
all it takes is like fucking Cherry Pie picks up the old, he just picks it up. No, he doesn't have to do a heist or anything. And he
Yeah.
strolls through, blasts that dude. I had to double check with Bob. I was like, is this the dude from fucking Twin Peaks? Because I
Yeah.
watched Twin Peaks when I first came to Korea. So it's been almost 2 years ago. But I guess this was even a few years before that. Old Cherry Pie, that guy. He's a particular kind of guy.
He is, yeah. I still need to watch Twin Peaks, so I don't have any sort of like sweet spot for Kyle MacLachlan. Like I don't dislike him,
Yeah.
but him being in this movie doesn't add to this movie to me in any way. It's just he's just
No,
an actor. Yeah.
even like once I recognized him, like I watched Twin Peaks and I enjoyed most of it. Well, season two it got really rough, but the first season I really enjoyed. But even then, I was like, "Is this that guy?" Oh yeah, it is. I mean, he's not like, I don't know. In this movie, he plays, what he's doing is he's trying to play an alien that's trying to pretend a human. So really, he keeps his like it's not like he's like doing crazy
Yeah.
dynamic things. In fact, the cop or whatever, the main detective, was like a much more dynamic and like relatable character or whatever. The other guy is supposed to be awkward and like offstand it. Like you're not really supposed to understand him. He's supposed to be like an alien or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah. So in that kind of from what I've seen of Twin Peaks, it seems like that's almost the exact same character in Twin. I don't know if that's just like him and how he
yeah,
does
it's
his
similar.
thing.
He is kind of like, well, and he's definitely got more personality into it. Peaks. He's more humorous. He's more like detective. Like he's got like interesting thoughts. But he is still kind of outside of the crowd. Kind of like a
Yeah.
particular kind of person. So yeah, maybe that's just what that guy does. I don't even know if I've seen him in anything else. So yeah, it wasn't like I was like, oh, that guy, and it like sealed the movie for me. I just
Yeah.
happened to
Yeah.
recognize him.
Yeah, I'm the same way. There's also like I mentioned at the top, there's some pretty neat cameos in this movie. Like Lynn Shay kind of shows up for a minute. She's like working with a senator, and
Yeah.
there's what's his face? Danny Trejo is in it for like
Yeah, I got
two
you're right.
seconds,
Yeah.
and then he
And the
gets
prey gets
killed.
blasted away in the
Yeah,
jail. Yeah, damn, you're right. Forgot about that.
so that's kind of cool. I love seeing Lynn Shay pop up and stuff. Like she has
Yeah.
had such a massive career. Like it's easy to forget how much shit she's done, but she's everywhere, man.
Yeah, you're right. She is. She just kind of pops up and you're like, oh yeah, there she is.
There
Um,
she is.
yeah. Maybe this was wait, no, she dies, doesn't she? Or maybe not. I was like, maybe this some kind of prequel to the yeah.
It's part of the Wandaverse. Everything
It's
is part of the Wandaverse now. It has to be part of the Wandaverse. Did you see Annabelle? There's an Annabelle fucking cameo in this movie. Did you see it?
No, are you serious?
No, I'm
No,
just kidding.
I know.
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
Damn,
Are
you
you
got me.
like that would even excite me? Are you? Oh man, I missed the Annabelle.
You
She was
didn't
in the
sound that
corner.
excited. You didn't sound that excited. Now you're trolling me.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, fuck that. We've covered that enough.
Yeah. There's
Did
so
you
that's
see
like
Annabelle?
finish the end of this. So like the alien transfers into the senator. You got like FBI shows up. He's got his little like alien ray gun. He shoots him with that, and then flamethrower. Boom! Bad alien's dead. But Beck, who's like our normal police officer, he gets shot pretty good actually, and then
Yeah.
ends up dying, which is like pretty like anti-Hollywoodish. You know, like he's like
Yeah.
the family man. And
Yeah.
in like a movie like this, I wouldn't have really expected that to happen. He ends
Okay,
up
well
dying.
they even did like kind of the ambiguous kind of thing though, and they did it like
Yeah,
decent. And I mean, for a movie like this, it's not like a real thinker, so it's not like I'm
yeah,
really like spending time like, oh, was it or wasn't it? But
yeah,
I mean, they did the whole thing where like, so this other dude's an alien, but he's like you assume he's different, like he's not a slug or something like that. But he could take over bodies. You don't really know what his kind of deal is, old cherry pie guy. And so at the end of this movie, he visits our cop and he's still in the hospital. He's not dead yet, but he's like dying. And there's like this beam that like shoots out from his mouth. So it literally either could be like, okay, he took over this dude's body and he's going to take care of his family or whatever you want to assume. Or
yeah,
you could be like, he's got he sacrificed himself to save the dad. It doesn't really matter. um,
I took it as him transferring like his soul into the dead dude's body because he like lost his wife and his kid, the alien did,
yeah.
and that's sort of like his way of getting his family back and like really having closure in the whole matter. And he's also sort of like able to be there for the little girl, so she doesn't have to grow up without a dad. But the little girl kind of like looks over at
Yeah.
what used to be her father, and she's got given him kind of the side eye, like she's onto him. She knows what's going down.
Which is the
Um,
same thing she did when like the dude visits the cop's house earlier. Like they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
say hey," and she's like, this dude's fucked up or whatever." Like she knows he's an alien. So that's the thing. But then at the end, she like takes his hand or something. So that's how I took it as well. That the alien
yeah.
took over the dude's body and he's just gonna like take the family or whatever. But it kind of gave you a little bit of an ambiguous ending, but it
Yeah,
really could go either way. It doesn't matter,
it
honestly.
doesn't. It's like ambiguous enough.
Yeah.
It was an intriguing ending. I'm glad it wasn't like totally stock. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got his crazy alien gun. The slug comes out of the center because he got his ass torched.
Yeah.
Um, and then the slug, he shoots him with this like alien gun and it fucking explodes. They love spectacle in this movie, dude. Like everything they just like go ham on. Dude caught like on fire with a flamethrower is like running around on stage for a solid like minute, just dude on fire and then burning to death. It's like that shit gets nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
It does.
alien slug explosion, the fucking shootout at the cop thing or whatever. The cops are like stalking him through the hallways and shit like that. It's just wild.
It's like the Tingler meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it. I mean, maybe I guess I was about to say if it didn't have the horror element attached, like if you didn't know there was a slug attached, this
Yeah.
probably like might hold more weight as far as like the action genre of the 80 goes because like they did everything really well. Like that car chase scene is probably like
Yeah.
one of the best fucking car chase scenes you're gonna see. They catch a dude on fire, they fucking blow up shit. So I mean, if it weren't for the horror aspect, it didn't have as much of a reputation for like, respectability as it does now. This might be more like held in high regards because it
Yeah.
like was a dope action movie. Like they did it really well. It's just got that sci-fi like twist on it too, which I think like in a general audience sense probably like brings it down. But I mean, as far as like 80s action movie goes, it's like done really well.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything specific to mention before we rate it? I think we kind of touched on all the main parts of
Yeah, I
it.
mean that's a story. But no, I mean I guess I'll get into some particulars. I'll get into some particulars with the rating. I guess we can rate it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Why don't you kick us off, man? Out of 5, how you feeling about The Hidden?
So the hidden, the opening scene, I was pleased. I was like really intrigued, and I was like, all right, this is, I'm ready to ride this ride. They carried me through, and for the most part, I really enjoyed that ride. Apart from that, the I thought the lead actor did a good job. The main detective who we're following, like Rob said, like the other guy was fine, the guy from Twin Peaks, but because he's supposed to be kind of weird, like that's what he is. So he's not like super relatable or anything. So I didn't feel like super attached to him. Um, and the kind of beef I guess I do have with this movie is, so I got that baller opening scene, and then a little bit more once like the alien transfers bodies and stuff like that. However, it got to a point like toward the end when he's like taking over the senator's body. I was like, this is the fifth time I've seen this. Like, so once, like every time it switches bodies, it's kind of like the same deal. Like, okay, he switches bodies, he goes and gets, oh, we didn't even talk about where he goes and gets like a shit ton of guns.
Oh
Because we
yeah,
forgot he took over that like drug dealer's body or whatever. I think we forgot to
that's
mention him.
right.
When he steals the car, but um like, so each time it's kind of like the same thing. Take over a body, steal some shit, have a shootout, die, take over another body, steal some shit, get in a shootout, die, take over. Like, I mean, we see that shit play out like several times. And so by the time it actually gets to the center and he's like taking over his like sixth or seventh body by this point, I'm just like, okay, like I've seen it. Like I
Hmm.
just saw it at the police station. I saw it on the rooftop. I saw it. Like I've seen it. So that was the only thing. It started to get repetitive to me, and it like each time the hill wasn't as high. Like like it started off really high with the first car chasing because that was the first one I saw, and each time it kind of like dipped down and couldn't quite get as high again, and then like dipped down like a fucking roller coaster, but it never could hit the peak, as the first scene in the beginning. So it did. Once it got toward the end, it started to feel a little tedious. I thought they wrapped it up well though, and the idea of it like wanting to take over like the presidency kind of added more depth to this alien who at this point was really just kind of like trying to like eat and fuck his way to pleasure, just kind of doing whatever he wanted to. So um I enjoyed the movie. Horror aspect is slim. It's got a sci-fi twist because it's got like a slug, but I mean it's pretty much like it's an action movie with a slight sci-fi twist. And I think I'm gonna give it I think I'm gonna end on a 3 star. Ended on a 3 star. I liked it. It didn't blow my mind, but it was good, and I'll remember it fondly.
Cool. Yeah, that was actually my biggest complaint as well, is the repetitive nature of this movie. The plot itself just sort of it gets regurgitated over and over again, and the stakes do rise towards the end, but it takes a while to get there.
Yeah,
And pretty much as soon as he becomes the senator, he gets killed. So like, if
yeah,
he had become a senator like halfway through the movie in the second act or something, and then like he actually starts convincing people and like changing laws or something, and then the story
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
evolved into more. That
Because
could
then
have
it
been
was harder to
interesting.
get to him because then he
Yeah,
had like which was a cool
protection or
plot
something.
point because you're like, oh, now he's like protected by human
Yeah.
beings or whatever. But you're right, they didn't explore that. So
So yeah, that was sort of like the end point instead of
yeah,
like the halfway point or whatever. Um, but I don't know, kind of like I already said, like this movie is just like such fun. It's like the movie is fucking movie. It's got like a bank robbery, like explosions, fucking like a bazooka and grenades,
yeah.
like a little alien like ray gun,
I
a
forgot he had a bazooka,
flamethrower.
dude. Oh my god.
It's got the fucking like Tingler monster, like
Yeah.
just all kinds of explosions and shit. It's just like it's a ton of fucking fun to watch. And I'm like pretty surprised, especially because like we've been doing, like we seek out movies pretty regularly. We've been doing the podcast for like almost 5 years now, and like how none of us had seen this or really didn't know anything about it. It's just kind of surprising to me. So it was a pleasant surprise for sure, and I'm glad to have watched it.
Yeah.
There's not much more than just like pure fucking spectacle going on here, but it's very self-aware, and it sort of does what it's trying to do, and I had a really good time watching it. Other than the fact that it's sort of the plot sort of gets a little stale because it is very repetitive. I think that's sort of my biggest complaint, but I think I'm going to give it a 4. That's really the only negative I have for it. And it's not heady at all, man. It's just a straight up popcorn movie, and it's fun, man. It's good movie. So I'm going to go ahead. Randy Gandy G Landy was not here this week, obviously, but he did send us in a pre-recorded review here, as we tend to do. I think it's about 10 minutes long, so I'm going to go ahead and play Randy's thoughts for you guys, and we'll get back to it after we hear from Randy. So here we go.
You gonna wait the whole 10 minutes?
Yeah, I guess. No.
Oh, well, we don't have to. I've listened to it. YouTube surprise.
I don't remember what he rated it.
Oh, okay. I think it was 3. Do you want me to listen on my phone real quick?
Sure.
I listened to it right before the cast. That's what I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 3.
Okay.
This is how the sausage is made. This is why you come to the behind the scenes. You get to really see how a podcast is made, you know. Real professional here.
That is exactly right. All right. I gotta stop, Randy. All right, you good?
Yeah. Wait, what was your rating?
4.
Okay.
All right. Well, with Randy's rating of a 3, that's going to put our aggregate at a 3.33. Repeating.
Quick math.
Quick math.
You got to that real quick, Bob.
Hey.
I forgot I was maybe going to take over responsibilities.
My brain's on fire tonight.
Damn. Firing on all cylinders, Bob. You're working for that job now that Anthony's hot on your ass.
That's right, Anthony. All over my hot ass, per usual.
All over it.
So that's pretty favorable. 3.33. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment here and see what the critics and users think about The Hidden. Take it away, sirs.
All right, so we're gonna get into this, sirs. Damn, am I like the fucking
yes, you are.
Here?
You are the fucking.
So there's no critic consensus, unfortunately. So the numbers are low on this. Total reviews counted is I should have done it like I did last time with Hellboy. I totally forgot. Oh well. Because it's just Bob. Only Bob's going to guess now. Yes. My bad. I totally forgot. I was just in autopilot mode. You know how we do.
Yeah.
Oh well, Bob, you get to guess alone. I hope
I'm gonna win.
If you're not within a 15% spread, you lose, Bob, and Anthony takes your job. That's your.
Okay.
These are the stakes where we got to up the stakes. Bob has to be within a 15% spread or he's officially fired for good. Bob, of the 25 critic reviews counted, what do you think they rated this movie?
Critics probably didn't go apeshit
job.
over it, but for my job. My job that pays nothing. Oh no, how will I eat? They're probably relatively favorable, not like ape shit over this, but it's like a action movie. I'm gonna play it safe so I don't get fired. I'm gonna go with a 70.
70. All right. Bob, you get to keep your job.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Sigh of relief. Sigh of relief. You hit the mark. Actually, pretty close, Bob. Good job. 76 is the total on this. So this is fresh. It's not certified. I don't know how many like numbers you have to be certified, or even what percent you have to be at. You have to be a little over fresh, but this one is fresh for show. It's 76%. There is no critic consensus. Let me scroll down. Of the 25 critics that rated this, 19 were fresh, 6 were rotten. Let me see if I can find a top critic that gave this a fresh. Yes, there's one that's negative and one that's positive. So let me see. A positive top critic says, powered by a driving rock score, this is by turn sleek, reckless, and smoothly effective. That doesn't make sense. This is by turns sleek, reckless, and smoothly effective, like a Ferrari with a psycho killer at the wheel. There's some typo in there.
Does not compute. Not compute.
Whatever. You get what he's trying to say, I guess. So pretty much almost just like a little synopsis there, but a negative top critic, too predictable, and even though wickedly fun at times, it's only halfway as awesome as it might have been. Which I could see both,
Yeah.
I could see that. Like,
I see.
There was potential for a little bit more, but it seemed like it wasn't concerned with that, and that's fine. But maybe it's a little bit to its detriment, but that's okay. Either way. All right, Bob. Let's see audience score. What are the stakes this time? What are you playing for, Bob? 15% spread.
I don't know. If I don't get this right, then you get to take my job.
Bob, if you don't get this right, you can't buy if you can't get within the 15% spread, you can't buy any Vinegar Syndrome for the month of May. All right? Bob.
That's very funny. Okay.
Bob, you couldn't do it for 1 month?
I don't know. We'll see. They're having a sale this month, so.
Well, then you really better get it right, Bob. Then you really are playing for some high stakes, even more than your job, your Vinegar Syndrome.
They're having a halfway to Black Friday sale.
Oh God, Bob, halfway. That stokes a lot of things for you.
50% Blu-rays. Oh God.
Halfway to Halloween, huh?
It is halfway to Halloween.
I know. I bet.
Hallelujah.
You're so excited. It's almost Halloween season for us here. That Straight Chilling Crew. Only like 3 months to go.
That's not even a joke,
dude. It's not. After 4th of July, we're all like, "Well, the next holiday is Halloween."
Yep, time to bust out the decorations, mother truckers.
That is not even fucking exaggeration. All right, Bob. So you're playing for your Vinegar Syndrome. We're holding you to it. 15% spread, Bob. You better get it. So audience score. Oh, let me tell you, the Oozer ratings 5,633. So pretty small sample size. This is a hidden gem, undercover, underground. Not a lot of people knowing about this apparently.
Yeah. You know what's gonna be my saving grace this time?
What?
The Straight Chilling Special.
The Straight Chilling Special. You think that's gonna deliver you, huh? Because it could be high by 15%. Let's see. It can't be higher than an 84 if you go with the Straight Chilling Special, and it can't be lower than quick mass 54.
I feel pretty confident about that range.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good range for you.
I'm gonna go with the 69. Straight Chilling Special is gonna be my saving grace.
All right, Bob. Well, you're right. The Straight Chillin' Spec has has given you your vinegar syndrome back. Actually, really close again. 72% from the audience score, which
Nice.
is the Straight Chillin' Cruise coming in a little lower than that. Bob was a little higher. Me and Randy a little bit lower, but not too far off.
Yeah. Men of the people. Men of the people.
Yeah, pretty close. Ours was what, a 66 average, 72.
Yeah.
6 point spread, not too bad.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna try and blast through a little bit of trivia. There's not a whole bunch here, but I'm gonna see what I got. Here we go.
Okay.
So director Jack Shoulder has gone on to say that of all of his films, this is his favorite.
Hey.
So that's cool.
It probably was a lot of fun to fucking make.
Probably was. Michael Norrie turned down the role of Martin Riggs in Lethal Fucking Weapon, which was made the same year as this movie, set in LA, and it's also a buddy cop film like this. That role went to Mel Gibson, obviously, if you've seen that movie.
He kind of regrets that, though. Except, would it be, I don't know, Lethal Weapon? Would it be the same without Mel? Who knows?
I don't know, but if with any luck he had gotten that role and it was as successful, it would have been a franchise of like what, 5 movies now? How many are there?
Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5.
But maybe we never would have got Braveheart. What could have been?
What could have been?
What this universe could have been. Somewhere out there, there's another alternate reality where that is the case.
During an interview on TNT in 1994, Claudia Christian mentioned The Hidden as being her prior experience with aliens. She said this qualified her to work on Babylon 5.
This qualified her?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm qualified now. There was like one alien scene in this, and I'm pretty sure she wasn't fucking involved at all. So, bitch, slow your roll.
Kyle MacLachlan
qualifies me. That's ridiculous. Hang on. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Oh, well,
this qualifies me? What?
She's just talking.
If she had said this qualifies me to be in Lethal Weapon, then I would have agreed. Like, yes, okay, but this qualifies me to be on Babylon 5. I have alien experience. It's like there was no alien in the people just said they were alien.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm an alien. Oh, okay. This qualifies me. What the fuck? All right, sorry.
No, it's good, man. Kyle MacLachlan and Chris Mulkey later starred together on Twin Peaks, which I still need to watch. What else we got? The transfer of the alien from DeVries into Jonathan Miller was accomplished by stop motion photography. During the stop, stagehands would work at stuffing the creature model into the mock head. Actor William Boyett, upon seeing the alien going into his mouth, was so disgusted he refused to watch and actually left the room.
God damn.
I love that, actually. That's pretty great.
Peace out, bitches. I can't watch this.
Yeah,
Wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Let's see. Although both Gallagher and his quarry inhabit human bodies, they do seem to have different abilities and limitations. Gallagher is able to spot the other in any body by sight, while his enemy cannot. Also, Gallagher seems to be able to repair damage to his host body, while his enemy's presence uses up his host in a matter of days. Which is a fair observation we didn't make, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of pointed out that they like implied that they were different species, like because even like when he transfers body, he doesn't like slug out. He's like got a beam or whatever. So, and he's got like a special gun that the other one doesn't have. So, but yeah, good point still though.
Yeah. So the original ending actually had the alien who was disguised as the senator getting away. They kind of changed that. The plot of this film, alien criminal and cop living in the bodies of humans on Earth, bears some striking resemblance to Hal Clement's novel Needle, also known as From Outer Space, though the stories are completely different. That's kind of boring trivia. Wish I had read that before I said it.
Nah.
The store Brenda, as the alien, drove into was called Neptune Mannequins. She also passes through a door that says Neptune and finally jumps to her death through a sign that says Neptune. That's pretty cool, actually.
They must be from Neptune.
Yeah, that's the one.
Really laying it on thick there.
Yeah. Do you get it? No, I actually didn't get it, but thanks for
maybe
telling
one of Neptune's moons. You never know, Bob. Wouldn't it be kind of cool to like live on a moon that's not the planet, but like that you circle? You know, wouldn't that be cool? Where like,
yeah,
where it's not. It's like when you do the rotation, it's not the moon that you see. It's a fucking planet that you see, and it's like goddamn humongous. That would be. Kind of
Did
cool.
you just rip like a huge bong hit before you said
I
that?
Wish.
That's pretty much it for the trivia.
That's like Deep Thoughts with your boy Soju. It's a new segment we're trying out.
What if this car just started flying?
Flying, dog.
Oh, that's a reference to someone we know in real life who was very high and said that in a car while driving. Let's. I think it's time to officially go hunting. Let's
go hunting.
Cooter of the week, Justin. It's been a while since we've reminded our listeners exactly what constitutes a cooter. So real quick, could you summarize?
Yeah, and if you're lost, there's always we did it on purpose, but episode 200, right, Bob?
We break it down.
Give the rundown. So it was a milestone episode. People always asking us, what's the cooter? What's the cooter? So we said, reference episode 200. We give the full rundown, like deep analysis. But let's give a little brush here. Cooter is a character type, prevalent in horror movies, not exclusive, but we've been kind of analyzing the development of the cooter through cinema, you know, making this sound real official. But essentially, we're tracking them through 4 points here. How to spot the cooter. Smug arrogance is one of them. Sexual manipulation. Manipulation. Smug arrogance. Manipulation is its own point. Sexual deviancy is its own point, and attire. That's probably why we always like miss the 4th point. We're trying to like mesh two together. So So yes. So how smug and arrogant are they? That's kind of measured a factor. How sexually deviant are they? How manipulative are they? And what's their attire like? That's kind of one of the hardest ones to hit. So this Heidelberg, he's a hunter. He's got his handbook. He's often referencing it in the Slack channel. He's keeping other people in line. He's like bringing people in under his wing and whatnot. But I can't help but ignore his couple of Patreon picks. I feel like he's doing this on purpose. He's helping us build the profile.
Spectrum.
He gave us our first extraterrestrial cooter in the entity, and this is our first extraterrestrial. He gave us our first paranormal. I can't remember what. Did I say that? Either way, he's given us a broad range of cooters. Also, didn't he pick the burbs? Which case, I tried to call for a collective cooter, in which the suburb itself is the cooter.
Cul-de-sac of cooters.
The cul-de-sac is the cooter. Either way, though, so this alien, I think he mentions he's got a voicemail for us. I think he said his name is Willie, if I remember correctly. I don't remember him having a name, but I don't know. We'll get in the voicemail segment, Hotline Scream. We'll talk about that. But so sexual deviancy, he takes over a stripper's body, immediately fucks a dude and then kills him, and then feels himself up.
Yep.
And also, what I was thinking when that was happening is if you're the dude and you're having sex with this alien that's inhabited a stripper's body, you're essentially having sex with a corpse, right? I mean, wouldn't that set the line, Bob? Because the person is dead.
I guess so, but
something else is just pulling the strings.
She was freshly dead, so you might not know, I guess.
Oh, Bob. Bob's drawing a line here.
I don't know. I'm trying to piece this together. I don't know how the alien works, man.
Okay, well, either way, so we got the sexual deviancy. Smug arrogance. I mean, it's pretty arrogant. And just its kind of general demeanor. It's essentially
it plans to take over the country, and then I assume the entire world. So.
Yeah, and he even has a little bit of dialogue where he's like, "Fuck these guys! Like, I can do whatever I want. We could take over this planet." I mean, that's arrogant.
Oh yeah.
The attire with the stripper, like, it specifically changes outfits. And it's got that ridiculous like ass thong,
butt
like
hanging out.
leather outfit. And also I would even attach like kind of the sport cars maybe a little bit to the attire. Like it's kind of the overall demeanor, I guess. Like it loves these fucking red sports cars, and it's always like trying to like, I guess, sexual deviancy. It's always trying to like hit on chicks.
Yeah, like with the finger guns and
with
shit.
the finger guns and the ghetto blaster and shit. It's not super manipulative, is it? Like it doesn't try to like
it pretends to be other people. So I guess you could kind of write that off as being
But
manipulative.
it doesn't try to like
trick them.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not like trying to like be skeevy or anything.
It's about to start doing that. It becomes the senator, but they kill it.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. So we don't see a whole lot of like it like scheming or plotting or anything like that. So low on that end, but pretty solid on the other ones. Yeah, he's no Sand, he's no Varg, but he is an extraterrestrial Cooter nonetheless. We've got our first, I believe.
He's on the scale. He's all over the spectrum, really. Yeah. So
and now we're on to Heidelberg too. We know the motivation behind these picks. The Burbs. Wait, Heidelberg did pick the Burbs, right?
Yeah.
The Burbs, the coldest. We've got the cul-de-sac Cooter. We've got the ghost Cooter, and now we've got the alien Cooter.
Yeah, three very specific incidents.
Variant. Yeah.
Yeah. They would have their own chapter in the handbook, the Cooter handbook.
He's just financing the that's what he's doing. He's financing the research.
Yep. Financing. Yes, exactly. He's our financial backer. I like that.
So yeah. So just another entry, another blip in the ever-growing research that is Cooter hunting. You know, we gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. So let's go ahead and get into our hotline scream segment here. So we've got 3 voicemails this week. 3 different people called in. We're going to hear from. Also, AKA voicemails from a place I like to call the further. I can't forget to say that just because Randy's not.
I was gonna let it slide, and I was like, oh man. I know that's got to get sorted out at some point. Maybe on like a 25th episode or something. We gotta do something.
250th or something. Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually. Yeah. It'll only take 35 more episodes.
Hashtag Team Scream.
Team Scream. So we're gonna run these down. First up, we're gonna hear from our boy Heidelberg here, and then we'll talk about what the band has to say. So let's go ahead and hear from him. Here we go.
Hang on.
Hey, Heidelberg, thanks for calling in, man. And again, thanks for hitting us up on Patreon, choosing this movie. So I think we covered the alien parasitic Cooter pretty thoroughly. And so, yeah, he obviously knew what he was doing. He obviously knew.
Oh, yeah. Always on his mind.
Yeah. I like his "What Would You Rather." I think it's a pretty solid "What Would You Rather."
It definitely got me thinking because if you've listened to this cast before, or if I guess if you haven't listened to this cast before, we often shit on both of these people, Eli Roth and Rob Zombie. Here's the thing, I always like lean Rob Zombie. I I don't have the hatred for Eli Roth that Bob always seems to lay into Eli Roth. I think
So
that's yours, Bob.
in just in case, because his voicemail did break up a little bit, but in case you missed it, he asked us a "What would you rather" question. It was, "What would you rather watch the entire filmography from Eli Roth or from Rob Zombie?" And yeah, that's sort of like an ongoing conversation that we've had with these two directors because they're I don't know, their movies aren't particularly great. And to be
Well,
honest,
and they're like, I think the biggest thing is they're like icons in like horror film
yeah,
making.
yeah.
Like people, oh, Eli Roth is this kind of director in horror. Rob Zombie is this kind of director in horror, and so we give them a lot of shit. I feel like Eli Roth is definitely more on the Bob side, and like Rob Zombie is definitely on my side. Like I just like lay into Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
um,
that's true. I want to like both of their movies, but I will say like Rob Zombie seems like a kind of cool dude. Like ever since I saw his like episode on Cribs where you go through his house and he's got like the secret passageways, he's got a huge movie collection,
14
and
years ago, I fell in love with Rob Zombie.
no, he just seems like a cool guy and like a really hard working guy because he puts out like movies and records like constantly, man. Like he's just constantly working. So I like respect
I
him in
mean,
a
Eli
way.
Roth did that whole like history of horror thing,
He did,
and I'm
yeah, but he's
not
not
sitting
like
around jerking off, Bob.
he's not doing nothing
Just
for
because we
sure.
haven't
But
seen his house, this is as strong as your fear
oh,
argument with
oh my
Suspiria.
gosh, oh my gosh. I'm just saying,
I like
Rob
Rob
Zombie
Zombie's
seems
house,
like
so I'm gonna watch
seems like
all
a
of his
guy.
movies.
Seems like a guy I would like to have a beer with. Yeah, and also
Trust you, Bob.
I prefer to watch his movies too over Eli Roth, for
Yeah,
sure. So
yeah.
I was
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I haven't actually seen all of Eli Roth's movies. I've seen every one of Rob Zombie's movies, but Eli Roth came out with a few recently that I haven't caught up on. Like I still haven't seen Green Inferno
It's on
or
Netflix.
Death Wish. It's I'll have to watch it then. And I also haven't seen The House with the Clock in Its Walls, which is that Jack Black kids movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So, but I have seen Hostel and Cabin Fever and Knock Knock. And Knock
Oh,
Knock is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
yeah. The thing is, yeah, I had to like stop and be like, I don't really know what Eli Roth's filmography is, honestly. Like I said, that's more of Bob's thing. I actually would like to see Green Inferno. I have seen Cabin Fever and I have seen Hostel, and I think there's another one I've seen, but I'm just like not familiar. My just general impression of him is like I don't care for his style. Like I don't hate on
Yeah.
him. Bob does, but like Hostel, like I don't know. That's just not what I particularly like to watch. The thing with Rob Zombie is I probably would still choose Rob Zombie, unfortunately. It might be just a lack of knowing what Eli Roth is. And one of the biggest frustrations I have with Rob Zombie is I do think he has a lot of good ideas. He just like he has no known man, and he refuses to like let anyone like help him or help like shape his craft. So it seems like all this like potential gets like wasted away on just sheer like arrogance or like sheer like unwillingness to like have anybody else involved that can maybe make it better. So a lot of things like where like, oh, it might be shot well, or oh, it might have a really intriguing premise, is just ruined by like terrible dialogue and shitty like directing as far as like the
Yeah.
acting goes. So it's frustrating because like you can see the shell of what like could be good there. So I still think like Rob Zombie probably still has more style and probably still has more talent from what I've seen. So unfortunately, I probably would watch Rob Zombie's discography. There's still some movies. The thing about Rob Zombie too is I always kind of have hope. There's some Rob Zombie
Me
movies
too.
I haven't seen that I'm like, I kind of want to see, but I'm like, fuck Rob Zombie, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I know he's just gonna disappoint me, which fucking sucks. But I
Eli
would probably pick
Roth.
Rob Zombie.
Eli Roth also directed Hostel 2, and then he's done like
Oh,
some
yeah,
TV
okay.
stuff. But I don't like TV. TV is considered in this. What would you rather? But yeah, like as far as Rob Zombie goes, I like the first half of House of a Thousand Corpses, and I actually like Lords of Salem pretty good, and that's about it.
Yeah, I want to see Lords of Salem. There's another one. There's like a number or something, right?
31.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
God damn it.
But I will say so.
That's
Richard Brake, the actor who plays the Night King in Game of Thrones, plays a
uh,
character like this crazy like murder in 31, and his performance is incredible. But
see, fucking Rob Zombie fucked it, didn't he?
so Richard Brake is the kind of actor, like this is how good this man is. He's the kind of actor that can take Rob Zombie's shitty, horrible dialogue and actually make you care about his character when he's delivering it. Like that shit is fucking impressive.
Wow.
Nobody else in the movie can do it, but he can.
Yeah, man.
So
see, that's the frustrating part, man, is you can
Yeah.
see like, oh, it could be good, Rob Zombie, if you weren't such an arrogant prick. Oh well.
Anyways, so yeah, thanks for what would you rather there, Heidelberg. Let's go ahead and continue. We still got 2 more voicemails. So next up, we're gonna hear from old stalker Stacy. We haven't heard from Stacy in a minute, so let's hear what she has to say. Stacy, I gotta say, if you watched American Psycho when you were just a little kid, you got some big old balls. That's crazy, man. That's a hard movie to watch as an adult.
I can't even remember the first time I watched it. I mentioned like I've seen it so many times. Bog fucked me last week, man. I could have really.
Oh, get out of here with that bullshit.
I could have really given some really good, interesting, unique perspective on American Psycho.
You better read those text messages, son. But yeah, that is one aspect of the movie that we really didn't talk about last week was like Patrick Bateman potentially having like a mental illness. Like he's kind of a psychopath or whatever, but when you
That's something I mentioned.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does kind of lend itself to what you were talking about, trying to find like the humanity in this like very, very difficult character.
Yeah.
It kind of goes hand in hand with that, and it's an interesting way to look at that movie because the character is definitely created for you to just despise, and it does. Christian Bale sells it, but that is like it adds a whole new layer to that movie and allows you to get even more from it. It's a good movie, man.
Yeah. And I
Yeah, it's
think
really.
she even brought up the whole good thing, like, am I a good person? Am I a bad person? Like, even taking that further and trying to think like Patrick Bateman. Like, because I said, like, toward the end, he calls his lawyer and he's like crying, like, openly. But at the same time, like, that's the only time he gets like physical relief, Like,
Yeah,
so it's like this thing, like I was saying, he's even like sexually like deprived. Like, he can't, like, he's not actually enjoying the sex until he's hurting somebody. He's not actually enjoying the company of people until he's murdering, so like to like
yeah,
it's like a physical response, and like, man, it's hard, but then to find out that that's only something he's mentally dealing with, and like it's it's hard because he's a huge, or you think he's a huge piece of shit, but it's tough.
yeah.
Tough to be like, damn, maybe he's actually keeping it all under wraps, and that's something he's really struggling to deal with.
Yeah, he's just barely keeping it on the tracks, but he is managing to keep it on the tracks. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
so it's like, well, from that perspective.
kudos, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot to pick apart in that movie. Good stuff. Thanks for calling, Stacey. It's good to hear from you as always. Um, we got one more voicemail here to play. We're gonna go ahead and hear from Michael calling in from the horror apocalypse.
Michael.
Michael. Let's go ahead and hear from Michael. See what he has to say. Few times I've been round that track, Michael. You are too a holler back girl.
Ooh, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on many things, apparently.
Yes, no joke, man. I This is the first sort of it wasn't like totally negative, but the first negative review I've heard for American Psycho, it seems like everybody kind of digs it. But that's interesting to hear. I've never read the book though. Maybe.
I think that's a big thing because
Yeah.
I have read some books and then going into movies where like the movie's on itself, and that's it sets an expectation that can never really be met because there's so much
Yeah.
in a book that's explored like psyche wise, or like you get to know the character so much more intimately than you can really do in almost any film. And you have like unlimited time. Like it just takes as like
Yeah.
if you have 1,000 pages or whatever, it's just as long as it takes to read it. But in a movie, like especially when dealing with the psyche of somebody, it's almost impossible to do. So I've always found that it's really hard to separate the ideas of reading a book first and watching a movie. It's just I feel like it's always going to bring down the opinion of a movie. I don't think I've ever like heard somebody. I don't think anybody's like opinion of a book. I don't think I've ever heard an opinion of a movie as being better than the book. Like I don't.
Yeah,
Not that I can think of.
probably exists somewhere, but I couldn't think of an example off the top of my head.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe the closest thing is like The Shining is like in its own right equally as good as the book, but in as a separate entity.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so hard to read a book and then separate your feelings and thoughts about characters and stuff like that from a movie.
So let's tackle his what would you rather question.
Good one. Another good one.
Yeah, another good one. So would you rather have terrible nightmares every night for the rest of
Every
your
night.
life, or see terrible things in real life that are not there? You wanna take it, man?
Yeah, I would do the see terrible things. One, I got to get my sleep, and I'm one of those people. I don't have trouble sleeping. I sleep, and even like in my like as I keep getting older, like I'm one of those people who can still sleep in if uninterrupted till like 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Like if I want to sleep in, I sleep in, and I sleep pretty good, and I love to sleep. So I would hate to be interrupted every night. And that's one of those things too. I feel like if I could see things, like if I'm conscious and I see horrible things, like you're in your conscious state of mind. So you have maybe a better ability to cope with it. Like, especially if you're seeing it every day, like to just kind of, it makes me think of that movie, A Beautiful Mind, where eventually he just deals with the fact that those people are like in the background of his life, and you can tackle that with like a rational mind. But when you're sleeping, you can't like control your mind. It's like things. So you can't just be like, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be scared. It's like every single fucking night for the rest of your life, you're going to be fucking scared. It's just like your sleeping mind. It can't ration it out. It's just, that would fucking suck. And then that would ruin your day too, because then you never have sleep. So really, it's just a lose-lose.
I think I would go with the dreams. The
Really?
nightmares. Yeah, because I, for one, never remember my dreams ever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I might like wake up and feel a little off, but I'm not going to remember what I dreamt about. And also, like, I don't ever have nightmares that wake me up. So I assume I'll still be able to sleep through the night.
Oh, huh.
It seems like that would probably be the path of least resistance for me personally.
Okay.
I go with that. But, if I'm like at work and I see this fucking random creature pop up and I just like freak the fuck out, I'm not into that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you could ration it out, or like your rational mind and be like, well, it can't, after a certain amount of time, be like, it can't hurt me. So it's really just like we start to watch movies that are fucked up, and like we get to a point where we're like, that wasn't that fucked up. But to other people, they're like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? That was really fucked up. And we're watching like Martyrs over here, and we're like, oh yeah, that was pretty bad. But like other people are like fucking throwing up and shit. So I don't know. I feel like eventually you could just like numb yourself, as we have.
Yeah, but movie's a movie. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, you watch Vinegar Syndrome like every day, Rob. I mean, you're already seeing terrible things every day.
That's true, and I'm digging it. Apparently, I keep doing it to myself.
I know you might like it, Rob. Popping that Cooter.
Cooter. Thanks for calling in, Michael. It's always a pleasure to hear from ya. Hope all is well with everybody calling in this week. So let's. I do have some news. Let's blast through some news real quick to round out.
Blast it.
All right, so we got a new trailer dropped today, actually, for a movie we've talked about before. It's coming down the pike, directed by Alexander Aja, who you may know from High Tension. He also did that Hills Have Eyes remake. He also did Piranha 3D and 3DD, and I want to say a couple other movies that I can't think of right now. But anyway, he dropped a trailer for his new movie called Crawl, which is getting a release on July 12th of this year. It's produced by Sam Raimi, which is pretty fucking cool. So this movie's basically about a Category 5 hurricane hitting Florida, and this daughter, she's trying to pick up her father, who was stuck in his home during the flood, and there's an alligator that is chasing them throughout the house. So they have to kind of escape this alligator run amok in the midst of a hurricane. So I don't know, man. How'd you feel about this trailer? How'd it hit you?
How did you feel about this trailer, Bob?
I'm psyched about this trailer, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I figured. I figured. Poor Bob.
I like Alexander Aja, and I like Sam Raimi. So Aja is known to not pull punches. Like, all of his movies are like kind of heavy hitters. They're relatively gory. And also, like, this is very close to home as far as the plot, being from Florida, dealing with hurricanes pretty regularly and whatnot. And also, it reminds me of Deep Blue Sea. It's got kind of a Deep Blue Sea vibe, which I'm down with. So all that, I'm down.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start plotting your intervention, Bob, because I think the vinegar syndrome is really starting to lower those standards.
Okay.
I think you're becoming numb to what quality is. No. I even said it from I remember when you originally read the premise and you're like, that sounds cool. And I was like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I think it sounds cool.
Dude. I don't know. And again, I mentioned before, like, we're from Florida. I've seen many, many gators. Them bitches are lazy as shit. Most of the time, them bitches are just laying around on the golf course. I've seen somebody go over, like, to move on a golf course. Somebody go over and just, like, poke it with the golf, and it just scurries away into the water.
And also, sometimes they eat your children at Disney.
Your your 2-year-old, your 2-year-old child. Sure. Like, none of these people are 2 years old in this movie. They're like fighting for their lives and like trying to hide in a shower. Like, no.
I wish that. I mean, it's a movie, man. I wish Andy was here to talk about this, because he had this art teacher back in high school who used to say, and I don't know why he said this or what he even really meant by it, but he used to say, "Gator in the water, I be in the boat. Gator in the boat, I be in the water."
That's
I don't know what
awesome.
that means, but he used to say that shit. Some, I don't know, crusty Florida artist.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just this, like, I don't know. No, I don't think it looks good.
All right. Well, agree to disagree.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess.
yeah, I just, like, I don't know. I guess that's just not what I'm craving from a movie coming out. Yeah, like, Deep Blue Sea exists. Yeah, Piranha, like, exists. Like, yeah, Jaws exists. Yeah, like, Anaconda exists. Yeah, like, Arachnophobia exists. I don't know. I guess that's not what I'm wanting out of, like, movies these days. I don't mind that it's coming out or that it's being made. And if it's good, then awesome. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just not something that's really. I'm looking to scratch that itch, like, what kind of new animal can we run away from? Like, how can we have these people trapped? And like, when the gator comes down, like, gets the rescue guy, like, dude, oh my God. And like, I'm wondering, are they going to justify them as some kind of like super gators? At least in like Deep Blue Sea, they were like sharks with like lasers or whatever. Oh, we cut into their brains. But like, if they're just like, these are what gators are like, it's like,
Gator
Nah.
Bait. Gator
Hey.
Bait. I don't know, man. I'm down. It's gonna be pretty much 4-6 weeks into hurricane season, so
yeah.
I'm
Another
down.
2.5 star, Bob. Maybe 3-star with the beer. Better than Suspiria 2018.
With a good beer. We'll see. Oh, gracious. Let's continue. Let's move along. So there's not a trailer for this one yet, but the news came out today. Our buddy Mick G, who he started directing like a whole bunch of music videos and whatnot. We we covered his movie The Babysitter that was on Netflix year before last, I think, I want to say. So he's got a new movie coming out on Netflix. It's going to be released on May 24th, and it's a science fiction adventure movie called Rim of the World. The plot synopsis is as follows. The summer camp at Rim of the World has barely begun when 4 misfit teenagers find they've got bigger problems to face than learning how to canoe and climb ropes when aliens suddenly invade the planet. Alone in a campground once teeming with people, the kids are unexpectedly entrusted with a key that carries the secret to stopping the invasion. Without any adults or electronics to help guide the way, it's clear what they must do. Band together, conquer their fears, and save the world. So it looks, there's a couple pictures here. It looks kind of like they're cashing in on that 80s vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be fun. I like Mick G's style. I like how the babysitter was shot. It looks like a music video.
He did it well. Like he got for like a movie with like younger actors and stuff like that. He got a lot out of them. I like that movie. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, and it's an interesting premise. Like, well, I don't know. I like as you were reading it, I kept going back and forth. I was like, I personally want it to be more horrifying, but
yeah,
if it's more adventure, I mean, and he can do it well, then that's okay too, I guess. You know, like I don't know. I was kind of wrestling with that. I was like, well, I want some horror news, but this sounds more like you know, some Goonie shit. But
exactly.
you know, I guess it could go either way.
Yeah, it looks like more Goonies, more Stranger Things-y-ish kind of stuff. So yeah, it's sort of, some people are getting kind of sick of that vibe, and I get it. I get it, but you know, if you know, every once in a while you get an 80s throwback movie, I'm down with it. It's fine. Yeah, I doubt it's gonna blow my mind, but I'll probably watch it, and I'm sure it'll be a good time.
Sure. Yeah, I'm open. I'm open to the possibility.
Yeah.
And at least it's like original too, you know. Randy's always bitching about things getting remade in books and whatever, and you know, at least this dude's like coming out with some like original shit, even if he's like riding on like a trendy thing, like, oh, it's about the 80s, or it's like, it's like original, fuck it, you know.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it.
So what did you think about that new Child's Play poster that is, so if you guys are unfamiliar with it,
was that real?
That was real, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, so there.
I thought it was a mock-up. I honestly, like, I saw it, but I didn't think it was real.
So Toy Story 4 and the Child's Play remake are being released on the exact same day, June 21st of this year. So Toy Story 4 came out with this poster, and it's like kind of a plain poster. It just says June 2019. It's got Woody standing there, like kind of holding his hat, and then Child's Play kind of took that poster and did their own little take on it. It says Child's Play June 21st, and then it's got like Chucky's bloody tennis shoe walking out of the picture, and then it's got like Woody's hat laying on the ground and his arm and like stuffings coming out of his arm as if he was murdered. So it's kind of, I thought it was pretty funny, man.
I thought it was pretty funny too. I hope I can get my hands on one of those, but like I hope that shit comes out in Korea. I don't know if it would, but if I get my hands on it, that would be dope. I didn't realize that was real.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that actually being printed. I got to ask Drew if he's going to get copies of that, or if he has.
Yeah.
Maybe I can grab one. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty funny, man. I honestly think that putting your movie out on the same day as Child's Play 4 is like, you're just asking to fucking fail. Even though like the two genres are so completely split, like older people still
everybody's gonna go see Toy Story. Except I mean everybody loves it. I'm like not super excited that Toy Story 4 is coming out, to be completely honest. But still I love Toy Story.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. That's risky business, but I enjoyed this poster. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, honestly. I like the balls on it.
Yeah, got some balls on it for sure. But that's pretty much all I had in the news for this week. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're gonna be back next week with a brand new episode, as always. We're gonna be talking about another Patreon pick, actually, as chosen by none other than old Jim G. Baby himself. We're gonna be talking about The Frighteners from 1996. Which is a movie I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I'm gonna go in blind again.
Yeah, going in. Good. Do it. Some Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson. Oh, it's gonna be a delayed episode, isn't it? Do we need to warn people?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. We're gonna have to
Actually, it might
record.
not be.
Uh,
Still, Randy might be able
no.
to make it.
Oh, it most likely will be a few days later than normal. Just probably expect that to happen, I would say. But who knows? Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. I think we're one review away on iTunes from having 50 reviews. So if y'all
Whoa.
want to chip in and help us hit that
Let's
50
make it a
mark,
positive one so Bob doesn't
yes.
lose his shit.
Yes, please do make it positive. That'd be great. But that's like a genuinely very easy way to support the show. If you've been listening to us for a little while, if you could leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, it really does help people find our show that don't know we exist. That like gets calculated into whatever iTunes algorithm madness is out there, and it just makes it easier for people to find us when they're searching for movie review shows like ours. So if you do that, we'd love it. Also, you can find us on Twitter at str8_chilling. We are on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join our Slack channel, just let me know on any one of those social media platforms, and I can send you a link to join us on Slack. We talk about the movie that we review each week, as well as we've been talking about Game of Thrones. We've been talking about Endgame. We talk about music. We talk about spooky stuff, not spooky stuff, all kinds of good shit. Just a reminder, we got another Joe Bob watch party this Friday, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us for that. And I think that pretty much covers everything. So until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.